Hello there and welcome to another live chapter reading for Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Today I shall be reading from Strega, Magic, the Spirit Never Dies by Lynne Russel. What seems to us merest accident springs from the deepest source of destiny. Johann Christoph Friedrich von Schiller. Chapter 1, The Stakes. I was born on the white November day the baptismal font cracked, big and right down the middle, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The real trouble was because of the family tree. You know, that well-ordered diagram of stable individuals who do all the things that are expected of them in all the right ways. They meet, they marry, they have kids, they stick to whatever they planned, with whomever they planned it, all their lives, whether they like it or not. They stay out of trouble, on paper at least. That's the way we see them. Their time begins and it ends, and because we don't know them, there's no backstory. Well, I fell out of that particular family tree. I was pushed out by my ancestors' unsettled past, the one you can't read between the lines. Let me tell you, it's been a train wreck of a landing. The push narrowed my options, and I realised I couldn't go through this life faking the same solid footing I imagined they had. I could not use that to ignore my own identity, who I really was deep down inside, the person only I could see. Sleep had become impossible. At night, the moment conscious thought slipped away, vague shufflings moved round my room as unfamiliar voices lined up to take their shots at stealing my dreams. They whispered, they taunted me, they accused me of trying to escape the truth. They said they were telling my fortune. Fortune? I was pretty sure I wasn't crazy, but on the off chance that I might be, I started keeping a dream notebook under my pillow. I scribbled whatever incoherent impressions I could, complete with sketches. Some of them were gone before I picked up the pen, others I could draw in minute detail and remember to this day. A lot of them involved water, either wading in it up to my waist or seeking refuge from it. And then the words became more urgent, even provocative. You're afraid, aren't you? What did you expect? You let the past enslave you instead of set you free. This is your only chance to make it right, they swirled around me. Be careful, there isn't much time. But they never said what I should do. I tried bouncing this off people I trusted, and it worked out about the way I thought it would. One of them referred me to a shrink. He was a shrink, so what do you expect? Another knew a woman who channeled dead French singers and their chien. But who brings a dog to a séance? One had an acupuncturist who could also do a complete set of gel nails in the downtime after the needles were inserted. Her number I kept. A talent is a talent. All of this did not give my boyfriend Dylan, the man who shared my life, the feeling he had a sane woman on the line. He didn't hear what I heard. Worse, he was unsympathetic. When I told him about it, he built a pillow wall between his side of the bed and mine. What's with all the pillows? I asked. Precaution. Against what? Do you seriously not trust me? I mean, if you don't, why don't you just go ahead and put an alarm there too? The hardware store closed at 7. I didn't know how much more of this he could take. I also didn't know how much more of him I could take, so I learned to keep my exhausted mouth shut about the things that happened at night. I understood trouble had found me. Not a surprise, really, considering how it all began. I was born on the white November day the baptismal font cracked, big, right down the middle. Not a good sign in the Italian immigrant stronghold of Ocean County, New Jersey. Exactly 6 weeks later, with the entire family crowded around, I was baptised in a drafty old stone and brick church where the broken font had been replaced, for the time being, with my grandmother's sturdy earthenware salad bowl. For entire family, read, tight-knit group of wackos sharing the same DNA. They made every effort to see that the ceremony was steeped in Neapolitan tradition. I'll give them that. But right on cue, the decorum degenerated into a predictable free-for-all. The hopeful priest who knew us understood this was coming and sighed deeply as he began. Looking around to size up his opponents, he bowed his head. Let us pray, he told earnestly, working fast to save the soul of this innocent child in the time he had. Moments later, as his frozen breath hovered over the bowl in a hopeful, symbolic mist, all pretense of cooperation went down a toilet. The myrrh-scented stillness was taken by surprise when Uncle Louis' impromptu tearful renditions of Corengato, a beautiful sounding but completely inappropriate song that translates to Ungrateful Heart. Ungrateful heart, you have stolen my life and everything is finished. Nobody seemed shocked at his choice. After all, it was the only piece of music he knew all the way through. They just hadn't figured he'd smuggle in his mandolin. Some were grateful it wasn't the trumpet, others thought the baritone sax might have added something. This was a cue for my mother's sister Mary to throw off her coat and launch into a pretty good double-time hula. She'd blown out of New Jersey to live in Hawaii, had gone there on a vacation and just never come back, and was here only long enough for me to be christened. The undulating motion of her hips in the grass skirt she wore over her wool one created a dangerous hot air current in space that wasn't used to much excitement, and it blew out the candles. At this, my grandmother, Pascalina, threw herself back against a wooden pew, clutching her chest with her right hand and beginning the confessional prayer as if she were about to check out. "Oh my God, I am most heartily sorry for..." She trailed off into gasps, which was generally more effective than going on. The rayon fabric of all her shirtwaist dresses bore a permanent wrinkle in the exact same place over her heart from the same performance. Her left hand remained free to execute the infamous Scotty death pinch on Mary's arm as she gyrated by. Then she deftly waved that hand over the candles and they relit. As I said, the priest knew us and wasn't surprised, and even then ducked with perfect precision when a little sterling silver dove pin on my godmother's lapel flapped its wings as she cradled me in her arms and flew off on its own, grazing the rim of the baptismal salad bowl as it struggled to gain altitude. Somewhere between the song and the dance, I was shocked out of my satisfying nap by wintry water splashing on my head. It snaked down my neck onto the starched white christening gown that relatives I never knew had tenderly stitched by hand for other relatives I never knew. They dried me off and named me Angela Mariana Scotti, although soon afterwards my parents anglicised it to Scott, and nobody calls me Angela anymore. The second they wrapped it up, my godfather, who'd been shifting his weight for half an hour, running late for a meeting at an unspecified location, gently kissed my forehead and signalled to the bouncer waiting at the door to get the frigging car started. So you get the idea about my family. I've worried over whether I should reveal more of it, the really serious stuff. Mere suggestions of our past have breathed damaging new life into secrets that would have been better left untouched. But I'll take the risk and let you be the judge. What you learn about feminine sovereignty and strength and self-discipline, whichever gender field you're playing on, can change your life forever. It all goes back to the old country, to a fairy tale that happens to be true. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll go check out the book. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.